Hey y'all, welcome back to Bourbon and Bones, and if you're a faithful subscriber, you can see that we have a brand new stage. But if you're one of our new visitors, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy it and stay. So if you like what we're doing here, comment, like, share, subscribe, and all those other YouTube things. So we have a very interesting little project here at Bourbon and Bones. Barrel aging. Well, technically second barrel aging. And that actually makes whatever you put in here technically an American whiskey, unless we're putting in White Dog, and then it's actually a barrel, and actually a bourbon, which would be neat. But we're just gonna pretend it's just aging bourbon a bit longer here for us. So this was a gift for Christmas from our friends Jen and Dawn in Michigan. We love you both and miss you terribly, and thank you so very much. This is gonna be so much fun. So mini barrels are growing in popularity, and this is a fun way to play with your favorite bourbons. So tonight we're going to play with one of my favorite bourbons, Pinhook Bohemian Bourbon 2020. This is the first bourbon produced by Castle & Key Distillery, and that's the old Taylor distillery that they purchased and rebuilt. When they purchased it, it was actually an absolute ruin, but they've invested a ton of money into it and completely revamped it, and is now producing incredible bourbon. So this is Castle & Key's first release, and was rather highly anticipated. Pinhook releases a bourbon and a rye per year since 2016. And Pinhook is a blending company and living up to the name Pinhook. Yeah, it's an old term. It's an old, actually, horse term, meaning a person that buys a thoroughbred, trains it up a bit, and sells it for a lot more money than they purchased it for. And one of my favorite features of Pinhook is actually on every single bottle in the series has a different thoroughbred by name, sex, and hand size. Now, Bohemian is a filly with 15.3 hands, which is actually a standard quarter horse. So 15 to 15.9 hands is a quarter horse, while 16 to 17 hands is typically a thoroughbred. And I know you're not here for horse things, but I really love horse things as well, so you're gonna learn a little bit, whether you like it or not. This comes straight from the girlfriend, who has spent approximately about 21 years in the horse industry. So I kind of feel like my numbers are pretty close. Fun side tangent of mine. Bourbon, horse racing is so intertwined in Kentucky, it just kind of becomes a part of who you are, whether you like it or not. Anyways, Pinhook Bourbon is a barrel proof at 114.5, unfiltered, and is only 34 months old. And this is a crazy bourbon to only be 2 years and 8 months old. So let's dig in. All right, so let's dig into the bourbon. So on the nose, it's nice green oak, nice honey. Some kind of nuttiness to it. A nice fresh butterscotch. So on the palate, there's a little bit of fruitiness, great almondy, pecany nuttiness, and a little bit of like a toffee caramel candy sweetness coming with it. It's just a really great bourbon. Nice high proof, definitely punches in there, has a little bit of finish of like a black pepperness coming from it. Now typically we take a break here and try the bourbon and give it some water. But here's where we're going to change things up. We are going to add bourbon to this barrel provided to us and see what happens after a week of aging. Now when I prepared this barrel, I realized that it can hold 2 750s. So I figured might as well start there. Okay, so as you saw, when it was dry, it held a little over 2 750 milliliters of bottle. But I guess after I added the water to treat it, to prepare it, it swelled a bit more than I anticipated. So it's really like a bottle and a half, which I still feel like is pretty good. So we'll come back and kind of see how much evaporates in a week. Well, we'll figure out that at the end of the process. We'll see how much it changes in a week, get another taste, see what happens, and give you a good comparison. So stay with us. Welcome back. It's been about a week since we put our bottle and a half of Pinhook into our mini barrel here, and we're going to see what we've lost through evaporation. All right, so it looks like the Angels were a little on the thirsty side. We had about a bottle and a half, so they had took a little bit of it. So we always joke and say the Angels share. It's the portion of it that evaporates in the atmosphere around us and heads up to heaven and let the angels enjoy a bit. Well, the big interesting part of it is just how much darker it is after a single week. Big difference. Big color differences here, very exciting. The biggest question is, how does it taste? So, let's give her a taste. Next slide, please. So right away on the nose, very different. Lots of oak, lots of toasted oak. And instantly a huge citrus note that it was not there before. And I mean like fresh peeled orange. And almost a marzipan-y, almondy kind of vanilla coming through. And something very green, something so on the palate, there's a lot more wood, a lot more oak, a lot of cedar, which is interesting. I don't get that at all before. There's a lot of still this big, bold, powerful citrus flavor that's coming right in the front. Still a very floral note on it as well. And soft candied caramel. Soft candied caramel and a lot of raisins and a little bit of honey. It is a lot more complex than I remember the last Pinhook being. This is crazy good. I am really impressed with what just a simple week does with the mini barrel. And I'm very curious to see what another week will do. So what we're going to do now is put in about half of what remains back into the barrel to age it for another week and see if it's just enough, if it's too much, or if it just somehow gets more magical. So stay with us, we'll see what happens. So welcome back. It has been 2 weeks and a bit of aging for the second time we put it in the barrel for the third option of Pinhook. So what we're gonna do is just pour it out, see what happens. So already we can tell this is a much darker color. And we'll do a side-by-side comparison of all the colors of the juice in a minute. But 2 weeks and a bit, let's give it a taste. So on the nose, it is oak. Tons of oak, but something else as well. Something like a malted grain almost as well. It's very heavy Scotch, old Scotch-like. And a little bit of sweetness of something. So it is chewing on a stave. That is oaky. very spicy towards the end. Actually, a really nice spice. Actually, I kind of like that. It's a very strong herbal anise, cinnamony, like really punchy clove barrel spice. I mean, it is just hot, and I kind of like that. Like, I think that's like pretty cool. But the front end is just so heavily oaked that it's overdone. It's just it's overbaked. We have overcooked our bourbon. And there's a little bit of like a dried apricot on it as well. It is complex and it is neat, but it's almost overdone. So one other little note is we lost about half our original volume that we put into the barrel to angel share, which is not terribly surprising, but I think it's a pretty good loss of about a week and a half. But as you can see here, huge differences in colors of the bourbon. And for me, the verdict being the original, fantastic. I would like it with a little bit more age, so I tip. I think this is an absolutely fantastic option. If this were a week and a couple of days, 2-3 days, I think it would have been absolutely perfect. Another week, it's too much. For me at least, it's too far. It is so much oak and great barrel spices, but the first half or 2/3 of the sip, it's unpleasant. It's just overdone. But the proof is still maintained through it all, which is nice. It is still a high proof bourbon all the way through. So, aging barrels, lots of fun, definitely great to play with. If you decide to do this, tell me in the comments below, what are you using? What are you aging? And I'm gonna put a link to our barrel as well, so you can actually go ahead and get one for yourself. And again, Don and Jen, thank you so very much for this amazing Christmas gift. We absolutely love it. And always remember, share bourbon with someone. Good night.